I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please kindly do so. It will really mean a lot to me, for that is the encouragement I have in putting up all this lovely video. So in this video, we are going to learn how I was able to make that beautiful two-step flay. Okay, so we are going to learn step by step on how I achieved that beautiful double flay you are seeing on the screen right now. Okay, so the measurements you will need in order to make that is just your waist measurement and your flay length. Okay, so that gown is actually a gown that was below the knee. Okay, so the length of the flay that I'm using will actually be what is remaining after you remove your half length from the total gown length. Okay, so very quickly, these are the materials you'll be needing. You need this crinoline. It's about 1 inch. Okay, so instead of adding a wadding, once you add this, it will give it that effect you see. Okay, so and this is the lining I will be using to turn it, and this is the material I'm working with. Okay, so this material is actually a Duchess material. So that is the material I'm using for my customer. So I was like, let me use this opportunity to show you guys how I was able to achieve that double flay. All right, so very quickly, let's go into the calculation of this. So the measurements I'll be working with is the waist circumference, which is 29, and the flay length, which is 24. Then the gown length, the total length of this gown I'm making is 38. Okay, gown length 38, and the front length I'm working with is 14. Okay, so this is actually for a girl. The girl has no bust, so that is why the front length is this small. Okay, so I got the flay length I'm working with by simply minusing the front length from the gown length. Okay, so when you do 38 minus 14, you will have 24, and that actually gives me the flay length I'm working with. I hope you guys understand. Yeah, so the first flay is 24 inches, and since this will be a double flay, I'm going to make the second flay, which will sit on top of the first flay, 12 inches. Okay, so when you notice on that gown, the first one actually reached the half. Okay, so the one under is the main length that we are working with. So we have two flay lengths here, which is the first one 24 inches and the one which will sit on top of the first one 12 inches. I hope you understand. Okay, so to calculate the radius of this flay, we are now going to do 29 inches divided by 6.28. So 6.28 is a actual number given to find the radius of a circle. So if you've not watched my tutorial on how to derive the radius of a circle, is on my channel, so you will understand more on how we get this 6.28 we normally use to get the radius of our circle. Okay, so 29 divided by 6.28, I have 4.6 as the radius. So 4.6 will be the radius we will be using to cut this flay. Okay, now for you to determine the total fabric you will be working with, so in order for you not to run the risk of wasting your fabric, this is the simplest way for you to do it. Okay, now 4.6 is the radius, and for you to calculate the total amount of fabric you need to cut a certain circle, a particular circle, all you have to do is to, this is the formula, the radius plus the length of your flay, the length of flay, then times 2. Okay, so this is the formula for you to use in order to calculate the total amount of fabric you need for a particular flay. Okay, so this avoids running the risk of wasting your material. So now let me calculate it. The radius we got here is 4.6, then plus the length, the first length of the flare we are working with is 24 inches, then times 2. So 4.6 plus 24, I have 28.6. 4.6 plus 25, I have 28.6. Now 28.6 times 2, I have 57.2. Then I will add extra 2 inches. This 2 inches is actually what I will cut out when I actually fold this flare, when I actually fold this material in order to cut my flare. Okay, so this 2 inches is like just, you know, cut out allowance. So plus 2 inches, I will have the total number I have is 59.2. okay, so if I want to cut the first flare now, I'm going to cut my fabric 59.2 by 59.2. that is, I'm cutting my fabric 59.2 vertically, 59.2 horizontally. So this is how my fabric is going to be when I cut it. So it's going to be square like this, 59.2 by 59.2. so my fabric is going to be like this before I fold it. Okay, so to calculate the total fabric of the second flare we will be needing, it will now be 4.6 plus 12 inches. 12 inches is half of the first flare. Okay, so 4.6 plus 12 inches, I have 16.6. So 16.6 times 2, I have 28.6. okay, so 28.6 plus cut out allowance. Okay, so 28.6 plus 2, this 2 inches is cut out allowance. Let me see what I will cut out when I actually cut the actual measurements of my flare. I hope you understand. So I have 30.6 in all. So for the second flare, the total fabric I need to cut out in order to cut this second flare is 30.6 by 30.6. okay, so my fabric is going to be like this when I cut it. Here will be 30.6 and here will also be 30.6. so I'm going to cut it out like this before folding into 4 to achieve our flare. I hope you guys understand this total explanation. Alright, I'll go ahead to cut out this material, the first flare and also the second flare. I will cut it out on the main material. Before I proceed to cut out my material, let me quickly illustrate to you guys on paper how we are going to cut this, okay, for clearer understanding. So let me assume this is the bigger flare, which is 59.2 by 59.2. okay, so let me assume this is the bigger flare. I've cut it out 59.2 is as flat as this, right? So and this is the smaller flare. We calculated 30.6 by 30.6. okay, so it's 30.6 by 30.6 all round. So this is how we are going to fold it. This is the bigger flare. We are folding by 4. So you fold the first one like this, you also fold the second one. Okay, so for you to cut it out, you are going to put that radius we got initially, which is 4.6. so from this point you put 4.6. so you measure 4.6 from this point and you connect like this. Okay, now from this point you are going to measure the flare length. The flare length we are working with is 24 inches. So you are going to measure the flare length from this point downward. Okay, you are measuring the 24 inches like this. Okay, so after measuring it, you are going to connect it. So that 2 inches cut out allowance that we added, you see, this is it, so that we can see what we are going to cut out after inputting the measurements we are working with. Okay, so now I'm going to proceed to cut out. So I'll cut out the radius and I will also cut out the length. You can see it. So once I cut it out, I'll open it up and I'll cut it from here. So once we cut it from here, this is what we have as the first flare. Okay, so the second one, I'm going to proceed to fold it again by 4. Okay, and I'll also put the same radius, which is 4.6 from this point. Okay, I'll put in the radius 4.6 for this point, and from this point I'll also measure the second flare length, which is 12 inches. Okay, so I'll measure the 12 inches from this point and I'll connect it like this. Then I'm going to cut it out. Okay, and I'll also cut the radius out. So after that, I'll open it up and I'll slit one side. So after that, we have our second flare. So can you see the illustration of what we want to do? Can you see how it is now? So this is actually what we want to achieve on our fabric. So I'm just going to cut it out on the fabric. I'll also cut the lining and we will proceed with the cutting. So I hope you understand it already with this illustration. Yeah. So you guys, you can see that I have placed the material on the lining and I've cut out the same thing. So I'm going to fold both of them together and cut out both the lining and the material flare once. Okay, yeah. So before I do that, I'll quickly cut out the second flare and also the lining, just the same way you see me do now. Okay guys, so you can see that I have cut out the biggest flare. This is 59 by 59. Okay, you can see it's a square shape. It's 59 by 59. Okay, and I also cut out the lining, so it's 2 pieces here. We are cutting both the lining and the main material together. Okay, so this saves time and energy. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do now is to fold it in half. Okay, so you are going to make sure that you fold it properly in half. Okay, and you are going to fold it again. Okay, so make sure you fold it very well. So you can see I folded it into 4. So you can see I folded it into 4. Then I will bring it to the table so that you can have a closer look of what I'm doing. So guys, you can see the first flare. You can see how we are able to cut both the lining and the main material together. So we proceed to cut the smaller one. So you can see how the flare looks like. So we are going to slit one side, okay? So that way we have our flare, both the lining and the main material, okay? So let's get into the sewing proper. So guys, I will show you guys how you can add your crinoline to your flare to give it a wavy effect, okay? So we are actually adding this crinoline to the lining, okay? So we add it to the lining and we are going to use it to turn the main material, okay? So this is how I'm going to add the crinoline to my lining. I'm just going to measure. So I'm just going to measure 0.75 inches, okay? I'm going to measure it down at the hem of my lining, okay? I'm actually turning this with half inch, but I'm marking 0.75 inches because I don't want any form of interference while turning it. So I'm going to place my crinoline on that 0.75 inches, okay? So when I'm sewing it, I'm also sewing it together with my hemming gun, okay? We actually need this hemming gun so that by the time we iron it, it's going to stay, okay? Yeah, so you can see how I placed it. This is how I'm just going to place it round my lining before using it to turn the main material, okay? So let's go to the sewing machine. Let me show you guys how I do it. So guys, you can see that after doing the first one, this is how beautiful it looks. Can you see the crinoline effect on it? Can you see how beautiful it is? Can you see how beautiful it's looking? So this is the smaller flare. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing I did on this smaller flare on the bigger flare. Then I'll put it on top of the bigger flare and show you guys how beautiful it's looking, and this is it. Alright, let me go ahead and do the same thing on the bigger flare, and I'll be back to show you guys what next. Okay, yeah. So guys, I've done the same thing I did on the smaller flare on the bigger flare, and this is how beautiful it's looking. Okay, so I followed the same process I showed you guys while I was doing the smaller flare. That is exactly what I did here, and you can see how beautiful it's looking, how the crinoline is making it, is giving it this wavy effect. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to get the smaller flare, and I'm going to place it on top of the bigger flare like so. So I'll carefully pin both of them down at the waist area. So once I pin it down on the waist area, I'll also pin it down at the side. Okay, then I'll proceed to my sewing machine and sew both of them so that both of them can become one. Okay, so once I sew it, you can see that our double flare is ready. Okay, all you have to do is to get an upper bodice of your choice and fix at the upper part, and your beautiful gown is ready. Okay guys, if you find this video helpful, kindly subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Give it a thumbs up, share this video. Okay, so guys, I will see you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching to the end.